What's out there? I'm sure that's a question we've all asked ourselves several times throughout our lives, yet here we are, nowhere near an answer. I think we can all agree that with how big space is and how it continues to grow at incredible speeds, it's becoming harder and harder to deny the possibility of life on other planets. Ultimately, I don't think it matters all too much because any life forms that could come to our planet would 100% have better technological advancements than us, and I think it's much more likely that a civilization accomplishes those advancements through a collective utopia, but in the offhand chance that it's through a tyrannical government, what can we even do? They'd have bigger guns, better technology, and they can reach our planet while we can't even reach theirs. A single bomb and we're gone. That's not really saying much. Maybe the aliens are doing 5 million IQ plays right now. Who knows how expensive planet destroying materials are anyways. So what do? Would we even have enough time to catch up technologically? Who knows? Maybe we're all defenseless, but I think I found the answer to this question and it might not be something you like. This is a story of this guy I know, and they even made a movie. It's called The Watch. Go watch it real quick and leave a like, sub, and hit the bell while you're at it. Now, let me tell you about this guy, Evan Trotwig. He's a very handsome dude who kind of looks like that Derek Zoolander fella. He has this lovely wife who he's been trying to have a baby with. They haven't been having luck. He comes from humble beginnings and worked his way to a cushy job as store manager for Costco, and is proud to be from the greatest town in the world, Glenview, Ohio. Be nice to this guy, he's never left his state. Truthfully, he's a good dude who you can tell is just trying his best to be a good person. That's why when his buddy Antonio, the security guard, tells him he finally got his citizenship, he lets him grab a bag of bugles and a 6-pack of Coke after he closes shop. I know, super generous. Don't tell Evan, but he actually grabbed a bottle of vodka instead. I guess it's okay since he gets viciously attacked that same night and is skinned alive. When Evan eventually gets to Costco the next day, he notices it's covered in police tape. The cops have been there for 2 hours and have only managed to put up tape. Typical. After finding out Evan is the manager, they have him identify the body, which again has had its skin removed. Naturally, he gets traumatized and is upset at the cops' inability to solve the crime, so after heading to Antonio's funeral and mourning his friend, Evan bribes his way into the halftime show for the very next high school football game. He wants to start a neighborhood watch to solve his buddy's crime, and while some people laugh at him, some are inspired to join him. 3 people join Evan: Bob, the eccentric dad; Franklin, the incel high school dropout; and Jamarcus, a happily divorced man wanting to connect with the community. He also has a very specific dream that I'll just let him tell you about.
Young, sexy, Asian housewife, alone at night, frightened, noise out by the trash cans. Best call the neighborhood watch. I show up, look heroic, and then, get this, she sucks my balls.
After intros, Evan digs right into it, but this overwhelms everyone else. Bob talks him into relocating to his man cave, and while it was a waste of time, I gotta give it to him. It's a sick man cave. The lads get distracted, so Evan calls it for the night and goes out to hang flyers instead. Later that night, Evan spots his new neighbor Paul sneaking around his yard, being all weird. Apparently, he's just trying to drop off Evan's men's fitness magazine that was left at his place. He creepily admires Evan and heads to his own house. Evan picks up Abby the next morning, and she's a little disappointed to see that Evan started another club, but he insists it's a task force to protect the community. She's ready to get frisky like they said they would when she left, but Evan takes a rain check because he has neighborhood watch responsibilities. Bobby ends up making jackets for everyone, and Evan takes issue with this because he changed his logo.
Whenever you have a tiger, flames, and wings all in the same logo, it's like the Chinese symbol for shut the fuck up and dance.
I love Bob. Everyone needs a Bob in their friend group. The watch stakes out the Costco until Brusman and his partner Chucho pull up on them to give him a ticket for open beer containers and another for putting up 200 flyers without a permit. The cops leave and Evan gets a report for a noise complaint at the high school football field. They show up and get jumped by some of the kids laughing during Evan's speech earlier, who egged them. The watch chases the kids and they catch the one with the most punchable face I've seen. They take him to the police station to get arrested, I guess. The kid was just egging, so they let him go, but he gets attacked and killed off screen. While celebrating and being rowdy, Evan hits something with his car and they get out and don't see any bodies, but they do find a green liquid which Evan says is similar to what they found near Antonio's body. Bob notices that it has a cum-like consistency.
It's not cum, but I'm saying it's a cum. It feels like cum.
The texture, the flavor, the color.
They also find this orb thing which they take after a homeowner steps out and threatens to shoot them if they don't leave. They find out that if they fill all the holes on the orb, it causes things to explode, so after convincing Jamarcus to join them, they start blowing up all of some random farmer's belongings, including a poor cow. They end up convincing themselves that the orb is tied to Antonio's murder. Bob finds out his daughter Chelsea is dating some douche named Jason and he doesn't approve. He confronts her and she gets mad that he's been stalking her Facebook. He reaches out to Evan to talk about it and admits that because his wife wife has to travel out of town a lot because of work, he's had to do all the parenting, and Chelsea doesn't like how he's parenting her. Evan, on the other hand, confesses that he can't have a child because, well, his swimmers ain't swimming, and he hasn't told Abby, and that's why he hides behind his clubs. They get a call from Manfred Salisbury, the homeowner who threatened them earlier. He's hearing noises and wants to make sure it's not the watch, so the two call Jamarcus and Franklin to have them meet up at Manfred's house. They end up splitting up. Bob and Franklin patrol in a car while Evan and Jamarcus approach the backyard by foot, which is just so ridiculously stupid. What part of Manfred doesn't read shoot first, ask questions later? They actually find an alien in the backyard, and Evan tries to ET bond with it via some gum. The alien takes the gum, begins chewing it, and then throws Manfred's corpse at them. It smacks Evan and posts up to a frozen Jamarcus. Evan whacks the alien with a garden gnome, and it hits his head a la Scary Movie 4. They meet at Bob's place and they reveal the alien to Franklin and Bob. Now Bob wants to capitalize this full speed into merch, movies, book deals, and you know what? Oh yeah, sis, make your money. They get plastered after having a photo sesh with the alien, and it ends with Bob slow dancing with the alien's corpse while firmly holding its ass and making out with it. I guess they never actually bothered to see if it was actually dead because it wakes up and smacks the fuck out of Bob. They restrain it, but not before he slobbers into Frank's mouth. It says, "We are already among you," takes the orb and fucks off. They realize aliens are using skins from corpses to hide amongst humans, and Jamarcus notes that it probably could have killed them if it wanted to. From there, they go full paranoia mode, keeping it on the DL while they figure out who they can trust. With the Costco once again open, they meet there since Evan has to work. They admit to distrusting strangers ever since that alien's revelation. Bob spots that douche Jason grabbing a bulk pack of Magnum condoms and screams at him that there's no way his dick's that big, and jokes to the boys about how he'll rip his dick off.
Swear to God, I'm gonna rip his dick off.
Paul jump scares the boys to invite Evan to an event he would have later that night. They notice a metric fuckton of batteries in his cart and become convinced he's up to something bad. Paul warns Evan to not think about it too hard. Since Paul is now suspect numero uno, they decide to stake outside his house. But before, Evan needs to stop by his house to pick up his The Watch trademark jacket. He walks in and Abby is there wearing nothing but his jacket, and Franklin manages to see the goods. Evan forgot about their sex date. They argue while the rest of the watch waits outside. Bob yells at Evan to tell her the truth, but he instead tells her that there's something large happening and he'll tell her later, so she kicks him out. They head in a bush outside Paul's house and judge people coming in. Chelsea calls Bob to tell him she's going to her friend Mandy's party, and since he's convinced Mandy is a total whore and it'll be a full-blown fuck festival, he makes a call for them to split up, and he gets into a brief argument with Evan. You can make the argument either is right, but both their reasoning is just bad, and I'll leave it at that, or I'll go on forever. Bob takes Franklin with him and leaves on bad terms with Evan. Right after, Evan and Jamarcus hear screams coming from the basement and notice a musty smell. Paul jump scares them again, admires Jamarcus's body, and leads them in. At Mandy's party, things are getting kind of crazy. Bob and Franklin stalk from afar. Franklin gets really weird about how it's erotic as hell there, and fortunately Bob chose to lay low because he knows rushing in would ruin his daughter's social life. That is until he spots Jason leading her into the house. In Paul's house, he leads Jamarcus and Evan into his basement. Every step down, the two are more and more convinced they're about to get killed. At the bottom of the steps is a curtain, and as Paul raises the curtains, we see it. A slaughter room. Well, a slaughter room of sorts. As they say in South Park, they're crushing puss. It turns out it was just an orgy, which explains all the batteries and the guy who's seemingly screaming. Also, say hi to the Lonely Island. With their only lead gone, Evan calls off the stake. They begin to walk off until...
Do you mind if I suck on your balls?
I'm gonna see how this plays out.
I guess some people's dreams really do come true. At the party, Bob is able to talk himself and Franklin in. Fucking unlimited charisma. Franklin flirts with two twins immediately. Bob finds Chelsea kissing Jason. Chelsea is trying to take it slow, but Jason refuses to listen and keeps groping her. Bob calls out to Chelsea and she hides behind her dad. Basically, Jason shoves Bob, Bob calls him out, and Jason throws him through the front door. Chelsea checks on her dad and Franklin pulls out a fucking knife and threatens to kill them if they snitch.
Except for those two hot girls I was talking to. They have my information. Please have them get in contact with me. They seem great.
And then they bounce. They drop Chelsea off at Bob's place and find Evan waiting at the doorstep. It turns out that Evan is mad at Bob for leaving them. He tells Bob he's unable to handle his daughter's issues, and Bob rips into him. He tells Evan that he has no friends, that he can't even be honest with his own wife, and that he uses his clubs to hide from his problems. Evan kicks him out of the watch and they fight over Franklin like a couple going through divorce fighting over their kid. Franklin chooses Bob, leaving Evan alone. Spiraling, he runs all the way home home where Abby is getting advice from a friend about her relationship issues. Evan bursts through the door and confesses that his swimmers ain't swimming and it's his fault that they can't have kids, and Abby's friend awkwardly walks off. Abby says they'll figure out the kid stuff together, but she just wants him to be honest and not keep secrets. That's when Jamarcus knocks on the front door and drags the two to Bob's house, where Bob and Franklin eat pudding in the man cave. Jamarcus takes a knife out and cuts into his palm, and a green goo comes out. They don't understand what's happening until Bob realizes
Feels like cum.
Jamarcus isn't there to hurt them, even though he could have. Basically, the aliens decided to target Earth. Aliens invade planets, kill the people, and move on. They're underneath the Costco since it has everything under one roof. They were getting intel before signaling to their armada to attack. The reason Jamarcus tells them is that BJ from earlier opened his eyes, and this way they'll be able to survive in caves with moderate levels of respect. Jamarcus leaves and the rest decide to try to stop the alien transmission, but not before making a stop at Franklin's mom's house, because of course the incel has a metric fuckton of guns. They all pick some guns and head towards Costco. They call Brustman to tell him about the invasion, but since he doesn't believe them, Franklin lies about Evan kidnapping them and taking them to Costco to kill them. They get into Costco and instantly spot an alien inside. As they're about to jump it, Brustman and Chucho stop them since they think Evan is trying to kill everyone. They refuse to believe them about the alien until an alien stabs through Chucho's body, killing him. The watch unloads their guns into the alien, and Brustman tries to revive Chucho, who has had his heart forcibly extracted by the alien. Brustman walks up to the alien, who wakes up and tosses him across the room. They unload into the alien again, and Brustman somehow has a large cut on his stomach now and is bleeding out. Abby stays behind with the cop, and the rest head inside the basement. In the basement, they stumble upon Jason. It turns out he's also an alien, which explains that super throw from earlier. Bob tells the other two that he'll handle Jason, and the other two keep searching for the transmitter. Bob gets his shit rocked, just tossed around like a rag doll. Jason knocks Bob onto the floor and uses his foot to choke Bob. Evan and Franklin find what they think is a transmitter, so they shoot at it, and it does nothing. Some aliens jump them, but no matter how much they shoot at them, they just won't die. Out of bullets, they say their final words and prepare to die. That's when Jamarcus appears and kills all the aliens. It turns out the aliens' brains are in their dick. As Bob is losing consciousness, Franklin tells him about their weakness using walkie-talkies they grabbed when they first entered Costco, and I apparently forgot to bring up until now. Bob rips off his dick, killing him.
I only need one hand for that shit.
They regroup and aliens start rushing them. Evan climbs up to the transmitter, which is that orb from earlier, and the boys cover him. He grabs it and they run out, covering each other's backs as they go. They lock the aliens in the Costco and use the orb a little too close and explode the Costco. Abby watches her husband die, dude. I'm kidding, but imagine. They walk out of the dust and Abby runs into his arms. The boys apologize to each other and they all live happily ever after. Bob is okay with Chelsea's new boyfriend, while Franklin joins the force and is partnered with Brustman. Abby and Evan adopted a little Asian girl, I guess, and Jamarcus, well, let's just say he went out to have several nuts. And to this day, the group gets together and continues to protect us from aliens and noise disturbances. The end. Do you see what I mean? Obviously, if you watch this movie, you might come out thinking, oh, you have to be honest with your partner, or don't close yourself off to people. But you're not thinking.
Think, Mark!
The only reason Evan was able to patch his issues was because the aliens didn't destroy the world, because they saved us. The only reason they were able to save us is because that girl sucked Jamarcus's balls, and that gave us a fighting chance. I hope you pick up on what I'm saying. We don't know how powerful these aliens are, so if you spot one, you have a moral obligation to the planet. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, or an MB. You better suck some nuts or we won't be making it through. I'm partially joking, but what did y'all think of the movie? It feels like a bunch of my favorite actors just riffing back and forth. It's honestly just a perfect thing to put on after a stressful day. Also, anyone else relate to Jamarcus? Let me know that in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, hit the sub button and the bell so you can see when new videos drop. I'll catch y'all next time. This has been Subtly Artistic. Peace out.